So the famous atheist Christopher Hitchens is now apparently dying of a cancer that, according to his interview with Anderson Cooper, it doesn't seem like they can really do anything, or at least in Hitchens' own words, his prognosis sort of is grim. And not too many people come back from it. That type of cancer that he has. That's what Hitchens said. Anyway, when him and Anderson Cooper were talking, Anderson Cooper brought up the topic of religion, and Hitchens basically said, well, I would never have a deathbed conversion or some type of experience like this, at least not while I'm lucid. And I don't have the transcript, and I don't have the video here, so I can't quote him word for word. But he basically said, he wouldn't do that while he was in his right mind. And he did say that people were praying for him, and that he said that some people were praying that he would die, and that some people were actually praying that he would survive and that God would heal him. And he didn't really seem to have an opinion one way or the other about that. Other than that he wasn't going to try to stop them or ask them to stop, sort of like, hey, if it makes you feel good, do it, type of thing. And I've watched a lot of Christopher Hitchens videos on YouTube, and he's got a great voice. He's got a great speaking voice, and I would have liked to have seen him. And, for all I know, maybe he has done this, but he seemed like he would have been a good person to do audio books, book readings. One thing that I really respect about him is his ability to stand and deliver, and to bring a message to people which is not popular, and in some cases is considered rude. And some of the things that he says are rude and a little bit, I think, off balance, but he only does it because he considers religion and faith to be so offensive that he feels that that's what it deserves. It deserves rudeness. And of course, he's ranted and raged against Mother Teresa and all kinds of things, which are really sort of taboo. Most people don't think like that, but he's brought something provocative to the public debate about not just religion and politics, but about the meaning of life and the meaning of existence and where it all leads. Even though he doesn't necessarily provide any answers, he has at least sparked a great deal of debate among rationalists, skeptics, religionists, and all the other ists and isms out there. He has a wealth of knowledge. I think some of it's misguided, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, I'm sorry to hear that he's sick, and I do hope and pray that he will recover, and I wish him all the best. And I know he mentioned something in the interview with Anderson Cooper that he has kids, and I feel for them. According to the internet research or data that's available on the internet, it seems like Hitchens is only about 61, and maybe he can pull through this. I think, for better or for worse, it would be interesting to have Hitchens take on coming close to death and perhaps that process being stopped. I mean, we do hear of people being healed of cancer. Sometimes it's attributed to a miraculous healing. Sometimes it's attributed to an excellent response to some medical treatment that surprises doctors. And, no matter how bad his cancer may be, we have all heard stories of people coming back literally back from the brink of death. And whether or not that happens to Hitchens, I mean, I would love to see him healed of his cancer now and give God glory for it, but that may not happen. But anyway, I would love to see him healed now, regardless of whether he gives God the glory now or not, because I think he probably has some constructive things to do still with his remaining time on this earth. But anyway, my point was, I would like to see what would happen if he does progress in his illness and then does experience a miraculous turnaround. I wonder what his opinions would be. I wonder if his mind might change. I wonder if he might think differently about faith and life and religion and purpose and soul and spirit and body. And obviously a great mind, a great intellectual mind, and a great journalist. And this was the guy that voluntarily subjected himself to waterboarding so that he could be more informed about the procedure that he was researching. So he's a spirited journalist and a radical observer of times. And it's always interesting to see what people like that have to say, even if you don't necessarily agree with everything that they say, because he's saying something very different than the status quo. And even people who might find themselves completely diametrically opposed to Hitchens, like an evangelical Christian or like a Muslim or a Catholic, I think there's still something that everybody can take away from his intelligence and from his sometimes well-tempered boldness. Sometimes I think he's just sort of rude, but whatever, that's just my opinion. So I wish him well. I wish his family well, and I hope he pulls through, and I hope he pulls through a more enriched and deeper human being than he is now. Not trying to say that he's not enriched or deep now, but to say that I hope that he pulls through and he's able to, with the mind and intellect that God gave him, whether he wants to see it that way or not, that's how I see it, be able to report something positive for the rest of us.